Webheads, comic book fans, welcome back to Comic Book Corner 2.0. I'm your host, Mike Spider Slayer, getting ready to do something a little different today. Today, I'm going to bring you my top 10 favorite comic series that I'm reading right now. And not only am I going to give you that, but I'm going to give you 10 honorable mention books. So I think this will help new readers, and I think this will help ongoing readers. And I want to hear in the comments below, what is your 10 favorite series that you're reading right now? And if you agree with my list, I'm very curious, like I said, because everybody's opinion is actually different. But if you're a new reader, this could actually really help you. So if you love daily comic book content, guys, if you love me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get started here with the honorable mention comic books. I'm giving you 10 of those, and I'm giving you 10 of the series that I like the best. So we're going to go with the obvious here with the honorable mention books, okay? And it's kind of sad these are honorable mention. You would think that these books should be on your top 10 no matter what. But the first one we're talking about is Batman. That's right, Batman is in the middle of an event right now, and some would say this could be some of the weakest Batman that we've gotten in quite some time. Started off very strong with Chip Zdarsky's run with the whole, I don't know, that robot that was going after him. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But now we've led into this whole Gotham War thing, and a lot of people are just not digging it at the moment. However, if you're a Batman fan, it's almost like an automatic buy that you buy Batman. So this is why this is on the honorable mention list, and you never know when it can heat up and take off once again. The next book we're going to go is to the Marvel side of things, another very obvious book, and this is The Amazing Spider-Man. Again, another book that should be on your top 10, or it should be in the top 10 to read all the time, and it's just not. This series as a whole has been very inconsistent. There's been good series, there's been good issues, bad issues. Right now we're in the middle of a good arc where we have Spider-Man who has the sins injected into him from Norman Osborn, and he's kind of evil right now. It's kind of like, what would you get as an evil Spider-Man if he didn't hold back, right? And we're getting to see him get revenge and things like that, and it's been a really interesting arc. However, the overall run from Zeb Wells has been very lackluster, and we're getting ready to go into the gang war here. So we got the Gotham War with Batman, and then we got the gang war with Spider-Man. All right, let's move on to honorable mentions. More DC here, which I feel like this series needs more time to grow before it might get on your top 10 list, but it's still a really good read right now. This is Green Lantern. This is this is not issue 4. I'm showing the display of issue 4, but this is Green Lantern series, and it seems like we're getting back to a Hal Jordan that we once know. It was interrupted by the whole Night Terror situation, but now it's getting back on track. We got Carol Ferris in here. Sinestro's making his way back on Earth, and I think the artwork is really good, and this book is definitely showing some promise here. So I can't wait to see how this continues, and maybe I'll climb up my ladder in the future. So coupled with, obviously, Green Lantern, we're going to have Green Arrow. For years, if you guys followed my channel, I was screaming for a Green Arrow series for the longest time, and we finally got it. And now this is more like almost like a time travel book where Parallax has taken Ollie to different parts of the future and the past and different places and things like that. And it looks like he's come across himself in like the future and whatnot. The art is really good. We get to see the different cast of like Green Arrow family, like Black Canary and Speedy and all those different characters. I love this one as well. It's written as with Joshua Williamson, so I think if you're a Green Arrow fan, I think you're actually going to really like this book. All right, the next book, which I don't hear too many people talking about, and I really think you should give this a try. If you're aware, Avengers did start over with Jed MacKay. Now, Jed MacKay is a really good writer, and he's written some great stuff when it's come to Black Cat. He currently writes, I think, Doctor Strange and Moon Knight, and there's something here that I think that Avengers fans can get attached to. I think the way the team was introduced was very brilliant. I think the way these new villains were introduced were brilliant. There's lots of action in this book as well. And when you get done reading an issue, you want to read the next one. Not like Jason Aaron's run, where it was a complete bore fest and I hated everything that was going on with it. So I feel like, if you haven't checked out Avengers, go ahead. It's still early enough in the series to where you can jump on board. The next book that's outside probably my top 10 favorite books to read, and this one goes to Blade. So Blade is a character that I've never always been fond of, but if there was a good book, if he was well written, in my eyes, I'm going to stick with it and see the journey of this comic. And in this one, it's really good, man. The artwork is really good. I like the action in here, and the story has Blade releasing this entity that's obviously a supernatural entity that's going to take over the world. He needs Doctor Strange's help. He's dealing with his weapons specialist, Tulip, which is also his ex-girlfriend. And this is something that is new that you can catch up on. There's only a couple issues into it. And if you like Blade the character, you got a series here. All right, the next one we're going to talk about in honorable mention is Superman. This book almost made my top 10. I think this one is really good as well. It did get interrupted by the whole Night Terrors thing, which is a total mess up on DC's part, in my opinion here. But Superman's been great. Lex Luthor's been in jail. We wind up seeing Superman is working with Lex by running this corporation called Supercorp. And I love how every single character kind of gets their little moment to shine, and you get to see everything that's what's going on in their life. The artwork is also really good in this comic as well. And we just got introduced to a villain in this book, and the story arc is called The Chained, and this villain looks very powerful. So if you've been kind of, scarred with Superman as of late, I would say, pick this one up because this is a good one to read. And you'll be surprised at this, but again, this should be a book that should be in a top 10 and is no longer in a top 10. And this is X-Men. X-Men has improved lately with the fall of X because Krakoa era is right now destroyed. There's no resurrection. There's things that feel like that are at stake. There has been loss, and will we ever get the Krakoan age back? I don't think so. I think that part of it's over. I feel like this time it's a little bit darker. Kate Pryde is a little bit darker as well. We've seen a lot of death from her, because she was put in a corner. It's been a very interesting series so far. Now, the last issue wasn't maybe the greatest issue, but overall, Fall of X, the X-Men title itself, is definitely worth the read because I think it's going to get you in a direction to where we get to the next chapter of the X-Men. All right. Another book that's been really great, and I'm very curious to see the direction of this one, is The Incredible Hulk. And this has been awesome. It has a very Immortal Hulk feel to it, but it is a different storytelling. It's not as complex as Al Ewing's. And there is relationship building in this comic book, which is interesting because the Hulk is teaming up with this girl. I think her name is Carrie. I don't remember. Or Charlie? I don't know. Something like that. And he gets to fight these big, huge, horror godlike creatures in here. And there's this elder monster woman that's in charge of all the monsters that is going after the Hulk and wants him dead. It's just a fun book, and sometimes that's all comics need to be, is just a page turner and a lot of fun to read. They don't need to be too overly complex. They don't need to put in their political agendas and things like that. It just needs to be action and fun to take you away from your everyday world, right? And that's what the Hulk is. All right, and the last honorable mention book is The Walking Dead Deluxe. This is a reprinting of the whole Walking Dead series. If you never read this series when it was originally come out, or you never read the Omnis or the hardcovers or the trades, whatever it is, now's your time to read it. They're already on, I think, issue 70 on this thing, but it's been coming out like weekly, and this is a way to catch up with The Walking Dead if you never read it before. And it's not in black and white, it's color. And there's also Robert Kirkman notes at the end of it to find out his thought process when he originally created these comic books. So this story overall, again, if you've never read it before, you gotta read The Walking Dead. It's so, so good. All right, let's talk about 10 books that you should be reading most definitely. There is no particular order here, okay? Because these books are all really good. Let's start off with the first one. Number 1 is World's Finest. This book has been great. It has to be in my top 10 because we're 20 issues in and every issue has been solid. Yes, some better than others, right? But every issue has been so good. You got that Dan Mora artwork. I think Mark Waid knows how to tell these characters stories, and it's just awesome, man. It's just so much fun. I think now we're getting ready to get into the whole Kingdom Come situation. We've had different stories with Supergirl and Robin going out on a date with each other. We had stories, obviously, that take place in the past. It just seems like a much simpler time for DC, and it's a lot of action, a lot of fun. It's a recommended all day for me. Okay, next book here is Dark Ride. Dark Ride is also another book written by Joshua Williamson. You see a lot of books that I'm talking about is by him. Hopefully the dude doesn't like get burnt out, but he's been doing great stuff here with Dark Ride. This is his own independent comic book. He said when he wrote the first issue that he loves amusement parks and he loves horror. So what do you do when you combine the two? Well, you make a story about a horror amusement park that, you know, has got some dirt behind it. And not only does the amusement park have some dirt, but the family behind it's got more. And you kind of find out as the series has been going on about this family, and you find out about the secrets, and it's just been really, really good. This is something that you should read if the trade is out. So if you want to read the first trade and then catch up through the other back issues, I say go ahead and recommend that. The best thing about this comic was from the first issue is when Joshua Williamson created the whole park and there was actually a park map. That was the best, man. That got me so pumped for this series. Definitely check this one out. All right, the next one we're going to talk about, book 3 here, is World Tree. This one is written by James Tynion. This is a great series about some weird chick that, I don't know, somehow like possesses you through the undernet, and then she gets you to do her bidding to kill a whole bunch of people, and then when she's done with you, she's just going to kill you outright. The mystery of this book is insane. The cast of characters is very interesting, and we're still learning about all these characters because this is still a fairly new series. I think we'll be going on into issue 6 in the month of December, and we found out a big revelation in issue 5. And I'm not going to spoil that. This is something that you should read. So if you're a James Tynion fan and you love something different, this is a book for you. But remember, this is a very violent comic book, and you know, it's not for the young at heart here. All right, the next one we're going to be talking about is a book I've been talking about for 2 years now, and this is of course on my top 10 list, and this is Gunslinger Spawn. There's all kinds of Spawn books these days, right? We got King Spawn, we got the original Spawn, we got Scorched, we got Gunslinger. There's been other miniseries, right? And there's going to be more. But Gunslinger? Gunslinger is where it's at, in my opinion. He's a brand new character. He's got his own personality. It doesn't tie into any of really the other Spawn lore. He's got his own agenda out here. He's not overpowered. He's got 2 6-shooters, and the artwork in this book is done by Brett Booth. He's done every single issue. The script is done by Todd McFarlane. and the price point of this book is only $2.99. You're not going to want to pass up a price point on that. You'll have a lot of fun reading this too. Just seeing the situations that Gunslinger gets in is awesome, and how he weasels his way out of it is half the fun about this comic book. Oh yeah, and figure there's freaking dinosaurs in this book. You gotta read it to find out, guys. Okay, the next one we're talking about is Ghost Rider. Same thing. Almost 2 years now I've been talking about freaking Ghost Rider, written by Benjamin Percy. This is another horror book. As you know, I like dark and horror comic books. I've always been a horror movie guy, and I just feel like it takes you to that different place altogether, right? I've never been a huge Johnny Blaze guy growing up. You know, my comic books, I guess, knowledge or my infatuation was only Spider-Man, really, when I was a kid, and a few, like, you know, Iron Man books and stuff like that. So I never really explored. I just liked the covers and the art. But when it came to Ghost Rider, I finally found a story that I really like, and it's this one right here by Benjamin Percy. Great artwork, very scary when you read it. The transformations are gross. He has this girlfriend by the name of Talia Warroad, and they team up to stop the supernatural. Really great stuff. There was an annual that came out this past week, and it's a great ride. In the beginning of this book is so creepy. Like issue 1 and 2, that first arc, there's something that goes really, really bad with Johnny Blaze, and he needs Wolverine's help as the story goes on. So good. Okay, next one we're talking about is The Sacrificers, brand new series that just came out. I think we're on like issue 3 of this, and this is a story about these kids where their parents basically sacrifice them. It's like they gotta sacrifice one of their own from their family to give to these beings, and we don't know why, okay? Well, after reading issue 3, you kind of find out why, and it just kind of ups the ante of what's going to happen next with this comic book. But my God, this book is so good. I think Rick Remender is a very talented writer. He has done lots of stuff for Image in the past as well. Seeing the journey that these kids got to or went on to get to this point is insane. And seeing the sacrifice that these parents had to make for their kids is kind of sad as well. So I definitely recommend this book. This is something completely different. Go ahead, check out Sacrificers. Okay, I'm having a lot of fun doing this, man. Okay, next one is Big Game, all right, from Mark Millar. If you're a Mark Millar fan, he has come out with a bunch of properties over the years. For instance, Kick-Ass, right? Kick-Ass was one of his, most popular ones, right? He's come up with the Chrononauts. He's come up with, Nuck and Starlight and just like all these different properties, okay? And in this book, we have Nemesis in here. Nemesis is another one, and he's a big bad in here. And basically what's going on is they're killing off all the hero side of his properties. And Hit Girl was one of them, okay? And so if you read Kick-Ass, Hit Girl in the past, and all that stuff, you're going to want to see the journey that transpires here. Every page is a page turner. There is lots of action here. There is jaw-dropping deaths. It's like, holy cow, I can't believe you just did this to your own characters, right? So good. Big Game is a must-read. Okay, we got 3 more to talk about. Next is Something is Killing the Children. This is issue 34. I apologize. The freaking lawn people every Friday. It's horrible. Something is Killing the Children. We're on issue 34 at this point, okay? 34 issues on my top 10 list, of course, because nowadays it's hard for comics to reach a 34th issue, and for you to stay on board with a comic for that long is very difficult as well, okay? Journey of Erica Slaughter. That's the main character. She's a monster hunter. Kids see these monsters, right? And she is the only one that can see these monsters, and she hunts them down. That's how this whole thing started. Now in the second chapters, or the next volume basically, I shouldn't say the next volume, the next arc, we get to see a little bit more layered of Erica Slaughter, the main character of herself. We get to see all the other houses. It's a very emotional comic at this point as well. The artwork is fun. The battle scenes are great. This is definitely a must-read, written by James Tynion. All right, so now we move on to Void Rivals. Void Rivals is a book that's also only on like issue 5 at this point, but it is a great read about two characters that come from different sides of the planet, and they basically have come together to basically get back to their home planet. They've had to escape. They've had to work together, and otherwise they wouldn't normally do that, right? They wear these metal masks so they can't see each other's faces. And the biggest thing about this this comic book, if you don't know this by now, it's tying into the whole Energon universe, the shared Energon universe. And what I mean by that is Skybound has taken on the Hasbro IP, so like G.I. Joe and Transformers, and that first issue dropped something right there that you weren't expecting at the time, right? And I love how this is all going to tie together, but it's not just about the Transformers here. The way this book is written and the way these characters are written, it's really, really good. And if you know Robert Kirkman's writing style, he does like to take time with certain things, but he really captures good emotional beats, and the payoff is so good in his series. So I'm so looking forward to more Void Rivals. So I'm going to save the very best for last. I wonder if you guessed it, but this just came out for this current comic book week. We're only on issue 1. I know a lot of people have been anticipating this, and this is Transformers, okay? Transformers, for a lot of older guys like me in the 80s, right? And I would say maybe in the 90s, right? We grew up to the animated show. We grew up to the cartoons. We watched that animated movie. However, if you're a 2000s person, maybe you've watched the Michael Bay movies, right? But the way this comic book is structured, it's more geared to the G1 characters and their personalities. Now, what you can expect here is great storytelling by Daniel Warren Johnson. I think this book is going to hit it out of the park. He really captures good emotional moments. And what you don't get in the Michael Bay movies is character emotion from the Transformers, really, okay? You got more of that in the cartoons, right? Here, I think he can hit on that. And don't forget the human characters in here as well. So I think he's going to do a really good job at this comic book. And when G.I. Joe comes out, I think Joshua Williamson's going to do good on there. So I can recommend that too. So hopefully you guys enjoyed these 20 comics that I discussed. We got 10 honorable mentions, 10 must-reads, at least in my opinion. Again, I want to hear in the comments below what you are currently reading, what your top 10 list is. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you love my content, I'm leaving you more content right here. I'm having a local garage sale. Guys, I would love for you to stop by. I got my address in the comment section below. If you can stop by, I'll email you the details. But here's that video. Guys, as always, support those local shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, and more importantly, guys, always read your comics. I'll see you real soon. Thank you so much. Bye.